David Sirota's a friend, and he's been on the show, and he mentioned how the reaction was exactly what he was hoping he would get. He would get the ample panic that was already there from the progressive left and even more environmentally conservative people, but the neoliberal establishment got really upset about it. And he's like, okay, yeah, this is what we were hoping would happen. And so what was the inspiration behind you basically being the centerpiece of Mr. DiCaprio's character?
Because he's Penny. Because they're Penny. That's why.
Well, it's I don't want to claim too much credit here, and I know David as well, and I think that Adam and David, worked together to create this masterful narrative, right? And I think it was David. In fact, David and I did a segment on MSNBC a few weeks ago. And it was really interesting to sort of to be talking about it side by side with him. And I also did this this interview with Adam McKay that was posted this week by on a couple sites. It was part of Netflix's sort of promotion campaign. Mm-hmm. And so it was really interesting to talk with them. And I had some ideas about what I thought they were trying to accomplish, but it was really interesting to run those past them and to hear them confirmed, in essence. And one of the things that's really interesting, I think, and I think David gets the credit, as I understand it, it was his idea to use a comet. It was just some casual conversation that they were having. Like, what if a comet were, coming to, towards Earth, hurling towards Earth? How would we react? Can we somehow use that device that is sort of devoid of a lot of the political baggage that climate change has acquired now, because it's become a partisan issue? If you're a faithful Republican, you are supposed to deny the basic evidence, the reality of the threat. The script was written before COVID-19, before the pandemic, which is sort of remarkable because it's also a sort of a perfect metaphor for what we've seen, how ideologically motivated anti-science has gotten in the way of us confronting this problem. And I think the idea of using a comet here that's coming towards Earth is that, hey, can't we all, at least across the ideological spectrum, agree that we would want to work together to stop this? Is that what it would take? I think the idea is to get people to sort of think about this in a way that is removed from the political baggage that is now attached to the climate crisis, and maybe to get some of those people to realize how absurd their position is, some of those neoliberals that you're talking about. And I really like the way that they take to task, these sort of technocrats, these techno billionaires.
Oh, yeah.
You're jumping ahead.
Oh, right. I love that so much. That character to me was some sort of weird morph of like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos kind of thing.
That's exactly.
Don't forget Zuckerberg, because he's in there too.
Right. Like, just this weird, and the fact that it's so like the priority is not saving Earth. We don't need to save Earth. We need to grab this so that we can make money off of it because of its resources. And everybody just was like, all right, sure. And I think that really is what we're seeing. We're just seeing it in slow motion. But that's what we're seeing with the climate. That's a good segue to talk about how there's like the people who seem like they're on our side, but they're not on our side, and they're just seeking profit in another way.
One of the worst things about the whole Trump phenomenon and the way that the ire was directed at him, and listen, it justifiably so in many instances, but that ire at that level needs to be directed at people like Musk and Bezos and Gates and Zuckerberg. And as of right now, it isn't. No. And because it isn't, that's why this continues to spiral out of control. If we don't get to the consensus of these men are not benevolent, they have simply figured out a way to completely game the system, and that's why they are where they are, because that's the truth.
Yeah. So let's talk. I mean, because that was something in the book that was really interesting to me. Was that
the savior isn't a whole bunch of old white billionaires? They're not going to come and save us. Old white male billionaires.
Honestly, the ending makes perfect sense. It's like, oh, there are people who will be saved. Just,
not for long. No, and they deserve that.
By the ending, do you mean the nominal ending or the end credits scene at the very end?
I haven't seen that yet, so don't tell. I know that it says I haven't seen. No,
you have to watch the whole thing. All the way to the end credits.
Well, they have the right idea, and if Sirota was basically the one who wrote it, was this idea of, we have all of these problems right now, all of these problems, and you guys are spending $500 million or what? How many billions of dollars
flying penis rocket ships
up to the sky as what? As what? As a joyride?
Michael, will you tell us about the people that are our frenemies?
Yeah, so no, I'm glad that the conversation's moved in this direction, because this was really important for me. This has been a pet peeve of mine, more than a pet peeve. It's something that's really stuck in my craw. The way that these sort of tech billionaires are now framing this as a problem that we can just engineer our way out of it. And, we should have realized something was up when Rex Tillerson was advertising geoengineering as the way to solve the climate crisis. If the CEO of the world's largest publicly traded fossil fuel company, ExxonMobil, thinks that geoengineering is the solution, then we should probably be wary. We should understand that. Why does he like geoengineering? Because it's a license to continue to burn fossil fuels and pollute, or they see it as a license to do so. And it was just a study. You guys might have seen the headlines that came out today. And I'm trying to remember where the piece appeared. It might have been a piece in The Guardian. But this one carbon capture and sequestration project that was funded by Shell, that was supposed to be a proof of concept, actually ends up producing more carbon pollution than it captures and sequesters. And it just really drives home the fact that these things, there's not even a proof of concept for doing this at scale, carbon capture and sequestration, but it gives them a talking point. As long as they can say, oh, we'll capture and sequester the carbon, it's sort of a way to steer the conversation away from the tough political decisions that we need to make now to solve the problem the only reliable and safe way to stop burning fossil fuels. So it's a convenient sort of crutch for polluters. And I thought that they captured it so well. Even the fact, and I think there was a lot of Bill Gates in that, because Bill Gates is funding this geoengineering research.
He freaks me out the most.
I think he might be the most dangerous.
I do. He's trying to control the world food supply.
Yeah, with all he owns like a 500 million acres or something
in Africa
of
and
land.
stuff. That's I can't.
Yeah, and I can only speak to sort of the climate stuff, but it's certainly the case that he has used his massive platform, and his book came out, a month after mine, and he got a lot more attention for it, and he was promoting what I thought was just a very wrong-headed approach. He downplays the role that existing renewable energy can play now, and in so doing ends up sort of bolstering these much riskier paths, geoengineering, massive carbon capture. And to me, this guy, Peter, I'm going to forget the name of the actor, Peter, in the movie. Peter, yeah.
Well, I was looking up Peter
Isherwell.
He was the name of the character, but the guy's name.
The actor.
The actor is a Brit. It's Mark Reliance.
Mark, yeah. I thought he sort of. I'm a big fan of Leo's and Jennifer Lawrence's, but I thought he sort of steal the show. It was so creepy.
It's really good. Oh yeah.
He really made the character as creepy as the character should be.
Yes. And
not enough people find them creepy enough. People revere wealth. And that's, to me, it's like there's people that are not held accountable because somehow they're viewed as that we live in a meritocracy and they earned that money.
Right.
And so therefore they are worthy of more respect because they are that much better than us.
Right.
And it's really creepy. And I find all of that with Bill Gates. It's very, people don't even know what the geothermal engineering is. So if you would just talk about, because I mean, we're throwing it around, but it occurs to me that a lot of people might not know what that is and how insanely creepy it is. This is where people are messing with the climate and our weather, basically.
And the last thing I'll mention before you continue, Michael, is that the thing about this movie is that for the politicos, the people that, especially in the climate movement, that really understand what's going on, we caught all of the Easter eggs that were in this movie. Whereas a lot of people who don't follow politics closely, like so much of this stuff is going to go completely over their head. You're not going to know what's going on.
There's layers and layers of, of context there that are important. And, it is funny. It's sort of, I suppose, I have mixed feelings about, the notion that, so Leo did name check me when he was asked about, what inspired this role. And that's what's led to the, the idea that the character was based on me, but in a very loose way. I think, what Leo meant there was the struggles that those of us who've been trying to communicate the crisis, for decades now, and come up against the same sort of obstacles that you see the characters come up against, the scientists come up against in the film. I think that's where he was drawing upon sort of his experiences talking to me and other scientists. But I want to be very clear that all the marital infidelity and all the.
I was going to ask you about your relationship with is that supposed to be like Mika Brzezinski?
Yes. But
I have been on Morning Joe a few times, but I promise Joe, nothing.
Sexual relations with his wife. I promise that never happened.
Pretty good. It's a pretty good Bill Clinton.
He does a good Bill.
Yeah. No, I promised Joe that, nothing untoward has happened. And so.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.